The Ross Rifle MkIII is the latest weapon to be added to Battlefield 5 and specifically the Recon class. It's unlocked by completing a series of tasks within the Armour on the Horizon Tides of War event, which will run until March 7th. To unlock the Ross Rifle yourself, all challenges you do will need to be completed by playing the Grand Operations game mode, and this is probably the most frustrating aspect to completing these challenges. Grand Ops is arguably the least polished of all game modes and can lead to hectic and unorganised fighting and little understanding as to what the objective of the game is, giving you a real kill die kind of feeling. Putting this aside though, to get the challenge started you will first need to capture, arm or disarm one objective. You can then move on to either dealing 400 points of damage to planes or killing 3 enemies with melee weapons or bayonets. Once you've finished with those, you'll need to earn 3,500 points of objective score so you can move on to the first of 2 challenges before the final task. You can choose between earning 2,000 score and then winning 2 days in Grand Ops, which don't have to be consecutive days or even earned in the same server, or you can choose to kill or suppress 7 enemies in 1 life and then move on to capturing, arming or disarming 2 objectives in 1 life. After this, there's only 1 task left to complete: capturing, arming or disarming 6 objectives. You might be seeing a pattern in what the challenges are to get this gun by now. Only after you have completed all of these rather tedious tasks can you lay your hands on the newest sniper rifle to Battlefield 5. It's worth mentioning that I found a good strategy when it came to capturing a certain amount of objectives needed to complete challenges was searching for games that had entered the second day of fighting and initiated the conquest style mode, meaning lots of objectives were on offer and able to be captured. So now you know how to unlock it, let's talk about the Ross itself. The Ross Rifle is a straight pull, bolt action .303 caliber rifle that was produced in Canada from 1903 until 1918. The MkIII actually featured several design choices that made it unsuitable for the conditions of trench warfare, and were made worse by the often poor quality ammunition that was issued. The rifle was actually withdrawn from frontline service, but its exceptional accuracy meant it continued to be used by many of the Canadian Forces snipers until the end of the war. When compared with the other bolt-action rifles in Battlefield 5, the Ross's stats are fairly competitive but not exceptional. The Lee Enfield, for example, has a higher fire rate as standard and a 10-round magazine, which is 5 more than the Ross has. The Gewehr M9530 has far higher damage per bullet, but loses out on the Ross when it comes to fire rate. The Krag Jorgensen has a lower fire rate and damage stat, but has 1 extra round per magazine. And when sized up against the Kar 98K, the Ross loses out on damage per bullet, but wins on control and fire rate with an identical ammo capacity. So what specializations does the Ross have which will make it more competitive, I hear you ask? Well, being a sniper, not a lot really. Level 1 specializations will allow you to improve aim down sight speed by 33% or decrease reload speeds by 15%. Level 2 allows us to improve accuracy whilst moving and aiming, but by how much is not specified. Or we can choose to switch weapons 15% faster, good for those tense moments where you need your sidearm. At level 3 the most serious of improvements are made available to us. We can select lightened stock, which improves movement speed by 60% whilst aiming, or fit a machined bolt which allows a faster bolt cycle and increases rate of fire from 64 to 75. Finally, at level 4, equipping a bayonet will allow you to charge enemies. However, the variable zeroing option for any dedicated sniper would be by far the best choice and really helps when shooting at longer ranges and hitting your longest headshot. So with stats and specializations covered, I started getting hands on with the Ross to see if it really offered any hidden advantages over other rifles. Where better to test it than the sniper's paradise of Hamada? The first thing that struck me about the Ross is that its bullet speed compared to other rifles seems slightly lower. Now, no official stats on bullet speed currently exist due to it being so new to the game, so I can't back this statement with numbers, but that's certainly how it felt to me and was backed by how much I needed to lead moving targets and ensure other targets wouldn't move by the time bullets got to them. However, I was immediately impressed with the Ross rifle's 6x scope, whose reticle, although similar to the M9530's, was far finer at the crosshairs and made targeting enemies at close and long ranges very easy. It's little things like this that make me lean towards certain rifles in the Recon class, as in reality, if you're hitting a target in the head, it doesn't matter what you're using, it will be a one-shot kill. The Ross is very similar in looks to the Krag Jorgensen, with its crazy long scope that runs almost the entire length of the gun. I didn't feel this impeded visibility in any way though, if I came up against enemy infantry and needed to quickly acquire a new close range target. Now, being that using snipers is a lot about personal opinion, let's just talk about reload animations and sound, as this guns in my opinion are very cool indeed. Just have a listen. The sound is one of those hollow thuds mixed with a slight jingle as the empty cartridge is ejected from the chamber. Very cool indeed. The reload animation, although loading individual rounds slows its reload time, is also great to look at and quite immersive. After all, World War II snipers didn't have body armour with 10 spare magazines. By far the thing that impressed me the most though when it came to the Ross was its ability to shoot at extreme long ranges. Its scope seems perfectly set up for engaging targets at up to 550 metres without the variable zeroing perk being used. There were some clips of me shooting at this distance earlier on in the video, and after one practice attempt I could find the exact aim point needed for that distance every time. That says something. Now, I'm not sure if adding the variable zeroing will change this, but if it does, I might consider just leaving it off, as shooting at all ranges was effortless even with the rifle standard. Its slightly lower bullet damage compared to its rivals can sometimes be a frustration, especially when two-shotting enemies. You'll regularly find that if you don't follow up your first shot quick enough, they'll just pop their medpack and heal up enough to survive the next round. As long as the target isn't too close though, this shouldn't become too much of an issue. Like I say, just more of a frustration. Overall, I'm actually really impressed with the new Ross Rifle MkIII, even if its stats don't make it appear a viable competitor to other rifles. Using a sniper is one of my favourite things to do on any Battlefield game, but many of the maps on Battlefield 5 don't really allow for it. However, when those games on Armada, Twisted Steel and Panzerstorm come round on the rotation, I wouldn't hesitate to pick the Ross as my companion. So would I recommend it? Absolutely. It won't be everyone's cup of tea, and some of its quirks will force some to choose the Gewehr or Kar 98 instead, but you have to give it a go to find out. I want to say a big thanks to everyone who's tuned in for this review of the new Ross Rifle MkIII. I hope you've learnt a little more about the gun and what it can do in this video, and are maybe even tempted to unlock it yourself now. Please do leave a like on the video if it helps you, subscribe for more videos like this in the future, and that way we'll see you in the next one.
Attention, we have lost objective Fox. Objective George is ours. Alert! We are losing objective Able. We have lost objective George. lost objective Fox.